Hello, this is Rod Delo of Straight Talk about small business success. I'm here today doing a meeting with Eric Musick, who's of the Subscription Box Show. I'd love to have you here. I'm going to learn a lot about what a subscription box is and really help get some information for our viewers.
Yeah, that's the plan, right? Subscription boxes. What a great niche. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here, Rod. I was actually listening to your show. There's only, there's a trailer episode, right, of you guys' podcast. And then there's the new episode with your guest. And I was, first off, I'm just going to say, what a tremendous guest. I think he's a published author of I don't know how many books. And his whole thing was on trust. It was a fantastic episode. So great start on the show. Congratulations on the launch. It was a fantastic first episode. And I left you guys a nice 5-star rating on Spotify as well. So there you go. So
thank you. Thank you. Sorry, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks. So first off, unlike your previous guest, I'm going to give someone a little bit more hope in the sense that I'm not one that comes from a very polished background in the sense of this education. I think he had all these different degrees, which is great. A lot of people relate with that. If you're on the other side of things, maybe you don't have college degrees or you don't come from all this educated background, I might be your guy. I'm self-taught in a lot of ways. I come from more of a middle class school of hard knocks, kind of rural Canada. I'm in rural Canada. So everything was pretty much the same for everyone growing up. So there wasn't really people that were kind of sticking their necks out to be these big business people. So I think I could hopefully relate with those people. But who am I? I am the host and founder of the Subscription Box Show. It's a subscription box podcast. So we'll get into what our subscription box is and the business behind it for sure. And my wife and I also founded a company called Louie and Leah, and it's a subscription box for mothers and babies. So either a new or expecting mother, all the way to the first year. We're for you. That's who we target. That's our very small niche, right? And we'll get into maybe those kind of things, how we have to be really niche with subscription boxes. So our slogan is from baby bump to baby's first birthday. And that's what we do full time.
That's an outstanding niche too. I'm going to say it's something that a lot of people struggle with. So it's what to do in that time, things you need. It's a time of change. Everything changes every second. So
yeah, it's a time. Yeah, it's a time of confusion. It's a little bit of a time of you think you prepared, maybe you're not prepared. Who do you trust? There's a lot of things that go into it. It's a little different than planning your holiday when you're planning to have a child, as you would know. I'm not sure if you're a parent or not, Rod, but myself being a father of 5, every time there was a new baby along the way, you're looking for trusted resources because this is a little bit more of an investment when it comes to a human life. So are you a dad by chance?
Oh, I am. I have 2 sons. My sons are both grown, and I'm a grandfather. So I've done the cycle one more. So thank you. It is. And I did I went on your website. I was very impressed. I wanted to, because I didn't know what a subscription box was. I kind of knew what they were, but when you see the subscription box model, I really want to understand what that is. So can you kind of tell me how the subscription box model works?
100%. So first off, the people who get into subscriptions or memberships, and it's very much growing. Gone are the days of Dollar Shave Club and just having a few subscription boxes that were also very niche, replenishment, but also very, they give you samples and little things, or they'd say, hey, you're going to get $250 worth of stuff. You're going to pay $50. For example, the savings model, we would call it FabFitFun. But it's grown tremendously now where, we've always kind of actually had memberships, right? Whether it comes to back the old days of Columbia House, or if you ever leased a vehicle, subscribed to a newspaper back in the day, right? Where they drop it off. These are all things we're kind of familiar with, but now it's kind of morphed into this huge thing where everyone wants a piece of the subscription box pie. So there's a subscription box, like I said, for every single niche, but the reason why people get into them is for one reason only. And it's not for the acquisition cost, the customer acquisition cost. We call it CAC, CAC in our industry because they're extremely high, but it's for the lifetime value, the LTV. Lifetime value is what you're after. You get that customer once, and unlike an e-commerce store where it's maybe easier to get them, but they're going to be one and done and they're gone. A subscription model, you're going to try to serve them, and it's all about the customer experience. It's all about the customer value that you can put in beyond the product now.
That's a definite invest now for a much more consistent revenue stream down the line. You have people coming back if you serve that. They'll keep renewing that subscription, and you'll continue to have that revenue stream going
Predictable.
forward. Predictability is a big thing.
Yeah.
Tell me, how can a small business owner, an entrepreneur, really, what can they do to use the subscription box model to widen their business?
Oh, well, it depends. Not every business will be meant to be a subscription box. Like, for example, when Christine and I went to launch this, we want to launch something we could do together. That was number one. We kind of failed about what we were watching an episode of Dragons Den, which is the American equivalent to Shark Tank. And we saw this lady that was the founder of a cat box. It was called Meow Box. And we fell in love with that model, but it's not going to work for every industry. I was actually interviewing on the Subscription Box Show podcast a guest this week and talking about how he used to be about, 90% of his business came from subscriptions, and he's got a sock subscription. Okay. It's called a Southern Scholar. He's based out of Dallas, fantastic premium sock company. They're actually 70-30 now flipped, where it's become more e-commerce. So doing it right, you can also, it's not to say you're going to attract a one-time customer and only keep them for that one time. They found a way. They're actually getting more lifetime value out of e-commerce customers than their subscription customers. So how can someone transition that into the business? Various ways, but you have to look at if your product is either a replenishment, if it's going to be a savings model, or do you have some kind of really, really unique value proposition that you can bring in a month-to-month basis?
That's good to know, because you see things. You mentioned Dollar Shave Club as an example back, and you've seen them transition from a subscription service, though they still do that, to they're actually in the bricks and mortar stores now. They're even beyond e-commerce.
Yeah.
You can go buy their stuff in Walmart.
That's right.
It's become they've done a full transition from e-commerce to bricks and mortar to a degree.
Yeah, $1 billion acquisition from Unilever.
Yeah, not a bad day to start a company and sell.
Yeah,
it
100%.
What about how do you for advertising and marketing? How does that work for the subscription box model?
Yeah, so multiple. That's a loaded question, but we'll try to take care of it as much as we can here. So first of all, depends for everyone, right? Like, are you coming from an existing business that has an existing audience? That's going to look a lot different. You're going to really, really want to lean on your email marketing if that's the case, because you already have an existing audience. And you know how, if you're in business, your email is something that you own. It doesn't matter what the paid ads algorithms are doing, whether it's TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, all these different paid ads, Google. For example, last year, we were rocking really good with the new launch of our monthly box. And then what happened is the iOS 14, the dreaded iOS 14 update, and it destroyed Facebook ad acquisition costs. People plummeted to the point where they were just dropping out of Facebook advertising altogether. And then iOS 15, they even tightened the grip a little even further. So I think now things are coming back around. A lot of people are seeing good things. We can get into the types of offers that work. But yeah, I think when it comes to subscription boxes, advertising, if you don't have, let's just say the average subscription box owner doesn't have an existing audience that they're bringing to the, the proverbial table, then your best bet is to try to start getting really good at paid ads. And you still have a lot of people who want to try the organic growth method. And there's lots of ways to do that. We have episodes on how to grow organically, but at some point, you're going to have to get onto paid ads. And we're saying the king is still Facebook advertising, and that includes Instagram. But interestingly, now I've had a few guests since the turn of the new year into 2022. One of them is from BattleBox. So that's a huge company out of Atlanta. And BattleBox, they're using TikTok now, and actually using TikTok is kind of like their primary source. They even did some cool screen shares on the interview where you see everyone's coming from TikTok. So they've kind of found so the TikTok algorithms have really improved, where people were kind of before just putting out some organic content. So maybe you're just posting a video with yourself doing an unboxing with your product or whatever, or using an influencer. But I think now the algorithms is far enough in its progress that it's worth investing in as well. So a lot of people are kind of transitioning or figuring out, how do we get to the TikTok crowd? Because there's over 1 billion users, and just like Facebook, it's almost as powerful.
That's impressive. And you mentioned influencers, and I do have a background in advertising. That's why you're seeing. I was a senior executive in an advertising agency for a while. So when you talk about influencers, what's their impact, and how would you utilize an influencer in your advertising model for subscription box?
Yeah, they're popular, right? Just YouTube it or just Google it. You'll see a lot of unboxings. But now, how do you take full advantage? A lot of people will say, well, I've tried that, doesn't work. Or some people rely solely on it. And what's the difference? I think you got to find the right one for your niche. You got to really do the homework. And a lot of people don't want to do like the work that's involved to finding good influencers. And it takes more than one. So you got to set yourself out a goal. Say, I'm going to reach out to 100 influencers this month and hope to ship 25 boxes or 10 boxes, whatever you can try to get, and then start testing them and see which one has the sticking power. And oftentimes I find the best ones are what we call the micro influencers. So they might be between, the 3 to 10,000 range of followers on Instagram. Those do really well, because if you start getting into 100,000, and the reason they do so well, in my opinion, and this is just based on my opinion only and what we can do at Louis and Leia, is that they have an engaged following. It's not a huge following where it's just like, it's a celebrity that has everyone follow her just because she's a celebrity or he's a celebrity. The Rock, for example, he's got millions of followers, but are they that engaged? Probably there's a good percentage of them, but you know what I mean? So I think it's easier.
Yeah.
And if you're going to try to go after someone like that, or even, a B star or whatever, hundreds of thousands on YouTube or Instagram, you're going to have to pay more than just a product exchange. So the good thing with the micro influencer, or even just like the mini influencers, that you could probably exchange product, which is something most will have to invest in as just part of your marketing cost, and not have to spend, literally thousands of dollars for them to do an unboxing that might or might not work depending on their engagement, if it's the right fit. So start testing with micro, and they do well, but you have to get the right one.
That's okay. That's very good. I appreciate that, because that's something that people talk about, and I think that understanding that, going small isn't a bad thing sometimes. So
yeah,
you get more return on your investment than you would think.
No, for sure. Now, listen, just one more thing on that. I mean, if you're a company the size of a Battle Box, for example, that has, hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on marketing, I mean, it's worth testing on bigger audience, and you can get creative with maybe a celebrity actor doing a funny ad or unboxing, right? Like that's a whole different level. But if you're a small business owner, which I'm assuming a lot of these people would be listening to, and it doesn't have to be a subscription box, because probably most of your listeners won't be subscription box entrepreneurs, but you most likely still use this as something, to use a micro influencer, not necessarily for an unboxing, but for something else for your business.
Okay. That's great advice. And I mean, that's really what we're aiming at, is that small entrepreneur looking maybe to try find a business model or things that that they can really help them either expand their existing business or open a new one. On that note, how would you get started? I mean, I think we've touched this a little, but how would you get started in a subscription box?
Yeah, I mean, so you'll quickly find out you're not starting a subscription box business, you're starting a shipping business. I mean, it can become quite overwhelming. So you start small. The only thing you want to do to begin with to start a subscription box business, before you get into like the mechanics of the whole operation, you talk about inventory, shipping, curation. Before all of that, you want to validate your idea, most like any good business plan. And the best way to do that is to put together an idea, put together a solid value proposition, something that separates you from everyone else. And I think your guest last podcast was talking about that as well. It's just, it's business 101. If you're a small company and you're putting out the same stuff as a big company, they're going to choose the big company. They trust them better. They probably got better pricing. They can do a lot of things better than you, but you have to find yourself a good value prop. And with that, I would suggest is just put together a few items in a box, and literally not a printed box, like just a fake box. And it sounds really kind of Mickey Mouse, and then you go around with these products and go buy them at Walmart, go buy similar products, and just give your idea, your concept to first family and friends. And keep in mind though, the caveat that they might not be your ideal customer, your ICA, your ideal customer avatar. So take their advice or their comments with a grain of salt, but just to see kind of like their price. And when you're asking them, what do you think about these items in a box, and would they subscribe to it? Also give them a couple of price points to see where people are comfortable with the pricing. From there, you're going to kind of want to validate a little bit better. You're going to actually want to find who is your ideal customer avatar. And there's exercises people can do for that. You can just Google it, or you can go on to podcasts like mine and type in ICA. But you're going to want to find out exactly who you're trying to serve. And that might change that can definitely change, right? I mean, you might think it's a certain demographic and ends up being it's a complete different demographic. I'll give you an example that I was talking about Southern Scholar. It's fresh in my mind because we talked a few days ago. Kevin Woolman's the founder there. He thought it was going to be for, young 20, 30, whippersnapper businessman who always likes the stock game. Turns out it's more of the boomer, like the 50 to 70 people that are buying his stock. So, I mean, you got to be just flexible. But once you have a pretty good idea who your ICA might be, and then you can kind of go and talk to them. An example for moms and babies. I might go to the park and see if there's, not me because it'd be creepy. My wife would and go talk to pregnant women. You know what I mean? Or go to a birthing center, go ask, find who your customer might be and just ask them, hey, what'd you think about this? The products will be different. I just put together this makeup. It's going to look different. These are not the actual product, but it'll be products like this. And, would you pay 50, 30? Whatever the price might be, and just see if your value, if it's something people even want, and would they be willing to pay for it.
And that defining your avatar. I mean, I think that, as you said, it really defines it. That goes beyond subscription box even to most business. You should, especially if you're selling a service or a product, understand who your ideal customer avatar is, so that that you can meet their needs. So I think that's a piece of wisdom that goes across boundaries. So I really thank you for giving us that.
No problem.
I think we're really kind of coming to a thing. I really want to, any question that I should have asked you that I didn't.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, subscription boxes is not easy. But I'll tell you what, there's a couple of things you should know about them. So, the community is great surrounding it. I mean, if you're ever interested into like starting a business that you can do from home as a side hustle, and I know that can be, a lot of people are like, well, you should be going all in, or you should just treat this as you can still keep, it's something you can start relatively small with relatively almost no money, and you can grow into something pretty big. And again, there's a lot of resources out there, free and paid, when it comes to all kinds of programs and stuff. The point is, there is a good community there of solid people, and I'd be happy to help people if ever they're interested to turn their business existing into subscription, or see if it's a good fit, or if it's something from scratch to just have an idea. And it's like, I've never thought of a subscription box. My goodness, like this is an idea that I could actually maybe do. I did not know I could do this. There's a countless resources now, not like when I started or back in the days when the Dollar Shave Club folks started. It's changed a lot, and it's still relatively new. There's a lot of room, as long as you got a good value prop that separates you from your competition. And even within a niche you think is super specific, there's going to be probably a dozen other boxes. So just keep that in mind. So don't get discouraged by that. But the other thing I would just say is, after you validate your idea, if you already kind of know that that's something you want to do, and it's been, it's a thing, start small, start with a landing page and start with a pre-launch. That's always the main thing, to start collecting emails, because you don't want to launch when you do launch with nothing there. And the best way to do that is to gamify it, have a contest, win a 3-month subscription or whatever. And we have all kinds of ideas like that we talk about on the show. But yeah, I mean, subscription box, I would just say you didn't really leave anything out. It's another business model. And what's great about it, again, just to kind of, circle back on this, is the LTV. The lifetime value is something you're going to be very thankful for, because the cash flow is king in business, small business especially. And when you have the predictable month-to-month revenue coming in, you're able to market your business and slowly grow it, even organically. I know a lot of companies who just did the slow, and I don't know if this is on video or not, Rod, but I'm kind of doing like the slow scale here going up. And you're still going to be able to do that organically, with an LTV model like the subscription box industry. And then eventually, hopefully, you'll get to the point where you can just pound in some marketing dollars to really blow your business up.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm glad I asked you, because that was some great knowledge. If someone wants to reach out to you, how do they go about that?
Yeah, for sure. So I was just going to say one more thing was on my mind, actually. So I'm going to get to the thing. Yeah. The one other thing, if you're thinking about the subscription box industry, is different than e-commerce. So if you're listening to this on an e-commerce background, kind of, you almost have to forget everything that you were taught, almost, obviously some of the, the coding or the Shopify stuff or whatever, the website basics. But when it comes to offerings and stuff, there's a lot of differences there. So just keep that in mind. You want to have, the 15-20% doesn't work in subscriptions. There's going to be certain things you want to do, and I'd be happy to help you with that. I do free 15-minute consults for anybody who's a local supporter. So you can reach me at thesubscriptionboxshow.com. and then you'll see a support button there. And if you subscribe to our locals community, you'll be able to get a free 15-minute consult. You can email me, eric@thesubscriptionboxshow.com. Where else? YouTube, we have videos there. We just launched a YouTube channel, so it's very new. So you'll see just the episodes from 2022 and on. And then the locals community is what we're really more excited about, because a huge thing about subscriptions, the number one trend we're seeing is community in 2022. And everyone, all the big boxes are talking about it. And even the smaller boxes like Louis and Leia, is that community is a huge thing. People, I think since COVID and the last 2 years, people have kind of like really watched where they're putting their dollars, and they're really kind of like finding these little grooves and niches and communities that they want to be part of. So if you can offer your community, your memberships, this special incentive that no one else has, but you can offer them, it's another piece of the value that they'll want to do. Like, just think of your own listening habits. For myself, I support people on Patreon that I love their podcasts. I support people on locals that I love their shows, right? So anyways, the subscription box show.locals.com will bring you straight there.
Excellent. Eric, I really appreciate all the knowledge you gave us today, and you taking the time to visit with us. Thank you, and have a good day.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me, Rod. It's too bad Salim couldn't have been here, because I was looking forward to talking to you both, but it was just fantastic time, and I'll talk subscription boxes any day of the week.
Excellent. We'll hopefully we hear more from you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.